I'm here with my dear friend Ophir Akiva, who's a
Hi.
lieutenant, lieutenant colonel in the
Yeah.
Israeli army. He's a man of many talents, known for his survival leadership workshops and empowering people through wisdom from the Bible and nature. And I met him as a tour guide, and he had a profoundly positive effect on me and my family and all the friends I've introduced him to. So welcome, Ophir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Of course.
And I'm honoring our friendship for so many years.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, first of all, I wanted to ask how are you and your family holding up right now?
So thanks God, we are safe and good. My wife and kids are home from time to time. I can see them for a few hours. Yeah, we
Good.
have to say that I'm a reserve serving in the IDF, like many of us. And in my normal duty in the civilian, I'm doing these leadership seminars and guiding people from around the world. But whenever Israel is in need, we are, of course, jumping to reserve.
Great. And I understand that if I'm not mistaken, it's the biggest reserve call up in the history of Israel. Is that right?
Yes, yes. Right
It's
now we
amazing.
are looking up to 300,000 people got called, which is a huge amount of the army. And my position in specific, I'm in the home front command. I'm specialist in life saving from earthquakes and missile attacks and stuff like that. It's a years long that we are working with the cities and schools that we are preparing them for emergency times like that, having small civilian units. So in my job and my duty in the army, I'm commanding a city called Ophir Akov. It's something like 40,000 citizens working hand in hand with the mayor and his great team.
Well, I wanted to step back and ask you to provide a bit of background on your own life and your own history,
Yeah.
some of which I've already touched on. But if you could give a little bit of history of your own story, even whatever you wish to share, even growing up, where was home, what kind of life did you have leading up to this very moment?
Yeah, thank you. So I grew up in a kibbutz right next to Gaza. I'm 52 years old. So in my days, people from Gaza would work in Israel every day. 500,000 Palestinians would come and work in Tel Aviv and all around. We used to go to visit Gaza and to see the shores, and we'll go to their weddings. They will come to our celebrations. And my kibbutz where I grew up, my mother is still living there. One of my brothers in his family. It's called Tse'elim, and it's right next to the border. Actually, it was attacked by terrorists growing up, and I was also always connected. We are saying here that your close neighbor is better than your far brother, and we live in peaceful manners with the Arabs and the Bedouins that were roaming around our kibbutz in the desert. And this is part of my life mission to connect people, to enlighten them to their greatness. And I think that it's still very needed in those days to remember that even when it's so dark and so hard, so we always can share light. Later on, I moved to Tel Aviv, and now I'm married with three kids, living outside of Tel Aviv for many, many years. I've been working as giving leadership seminars around the world and in Israel. And I was also, thanks to you, in Toronto. And eventually, I think that that's the way. Each one of us got the great powers, and we want to use it, especially in times like that.
It's particularly relevant to me and interesting that you live near the Gaza. Maybe you
Mhm.
could provide the audience with a little bit of the history of Gaza pre 2005,
Yeah.
leading up to Sharon's historic decision, because I think not a lot of people understand the history of it and the history
So,
of the region since from the moment Ariel Sharon made that decision to a couple of
yeah.
years later with Hamas taking over and the history of the region leading up to
Yeah,
today.
so
Yeah.
we can go even a bit back earlier
Yes.
when November 1947, after the Holocaust and everything, the United Nations declared that there's a right to create a Jewish state.
Right.
Coming back to the homeland that we got kicked away from by the Romans 2,000 years ago. But
right.
Of Tel Aviv, and they're very happy. David Ben-Gurion says we're reaching our hand for a peace to all of our neighbors. Since then, for 75 years, we've been under constant attacks and threats. When you hear people today saying, we just want this land or we want this part, no, the Arab-Israeli conflict is the most simple conflict in the world. They say it loud and clear. They're saying, we will kill you in the first chance we'll have. And we say we prefer to stay alive. So that is the whole conflict. It's very simple to explain. It's very complicated to solve. So running with the history, we have major wars in 1967, where we got to the West Bank, what is called the territories, the occupied territories, Sinai Desert, and the Golan Heights. This is a lot of the issues that people are mistaken there. When we signed the peace agreement with Egypt back in the early 80s, we gave all Sinai back. Israel will give everything that we can just for having peace. And they didn't want to get Gaza Strip. Now we get into that. Talking with Jordan, they didn't want to deal with the Palestinians. Jordan is actually, we made peace with Jordan, and it says, no, we're not dealing with the Palestinians. 75% of Jordan is actually Palestinians. And that's why there's very small minority of 3%, the Hashemite kingdom, is ruining all the rest with the help of the Bedouins, that they are something like 15%. So there is the issue with the Palestinians that we're talking about. Specifically in Gaza, we'll have to say that it's the worst place on earth. Here, putting out, and I served in Gaza for a year and a half. It's not easy. No nation wants to control another nation. It's sad, it's bad. Everything in our talk, we are talking about leadership and lousy leaderships, because people are people are people. And it doesn't matter where you live. You want to have a good education for your kids, good house, nice job. That's it. And I got many friends from Gaza used to be in those old days. Palestinians asking, give us freedom, open. So Israel, back in 2005, when Ariel Sharon is giving Gaza back to the Palestinians, we said, we offer you that we will build factories and facilities right next to Gaza, so the Palestinian workers won't have to go all that. Then years later, Hamas is taking over, and we have to put here to open this PLO called Fatah. This is Yasser Arafat, basic organization. Today it's Abu Mazen, and there's the Hamas, that they are more radical. Out of them coming Islamic Jihad, the Muslim Brotherhood, and others. But those are the main forces in the Palestinians, where in the last years, Hamas is controlling Gaza. They managed to kick away the people of Fatah. And since then, they are destroying every wheel of hope to the people. Israel tried to give every effort that we can. We're controlling the water, we're controlling the electricity, we're controlling everything, but we could stop that. We never did it until today, because we want to give these people as much as we can a bit of hope. And when we got out from Gaza, then they start to shoot rockets at us, on the civilians, and attacking and getting. So for many, many years, we're dealing with the Gaza people, we're supporting them. Humanitarian help, there's many sad stories of how they're taking advantage of this humanitarian help, but we can leave it for later.
Explain the effect that Hamas has had on its own people.
Divide and conquer, scare, starve, and control the people. The average salary for a year in Gaza is $700. That's it. And this is, and 40% unemployment, largest populated in the world. Now, it's sad, because if you do the calculation and you would spread all the money that's been given to the Palestinians, specifically in Gaza, by all the nations from around the world, from UN, from Europe, from Arab countries, every Palestinian citizen should have $1 million in his bank account. That's how sad it is. and they keep on crying how poor and miserable they are. They are not. They're just taking this money, and instead of building hospitals and schools and factories and that, they're building underground tunnels to attack. They're buying more missiles, and their leaders are rich, and even the main leaders of Hamas are living outside of Gaza. So nothing left to the poor people. I'm a man of peace, but it says in the Bible that God will bless his nation with a lot of strength and peace. If you are martial arts master, you know that you have to be peaceful because you are very powerful and can kill in the speed of a second. So this is the force and the capacity that Israel is trying to gain around here. We're very strong. We try to keep it and to give hope to the people. Now, there's not so many options.
What do you say to the millions around the world who describe Gaza as an open-air concentration camp and criticize Israel for blockades? What's the justification?
I agree with them. Yeah, I totally agree with them that it's a concentration camp, but there's only one person or one leadership to blame. It's Hamas. They are the one that been given all the opportunities to create some kind of negotiating, to build up, to develop. When Israeli villages moved out from the Gaza Strip, the villagers left greenhouses and they would grow flowers and the best fruits in the world and everything. It says, we're not going to destroy it. We're going to leave it for the people of Gaza. We want to give them that tomorrow they can plant and earn millions like we did. But they didn't. They came and destroyed that. So, yes, it's a different mentality. And the only one to blame responsibility for that is the Hamas leadership. Taking you to this example for one woman that we are treating her son in the city of Ashkelon. You hear the name Ashkelon. It's one of the cities that's been bombed right now. There's a hospital that we treat people from Gaza. Her son is treated for cancer in the Israeli hospital. And the mother goes in and out from time to time. One of the times they found a bomb in her chest. And they asked her, why? Why are you doing that? We are saving your son's life. And she said, look how miserable my life is. Hamas came to my house and said, you got one kid here and 7 kids here. You have to choose. So eventually everybody is losing. And there's so many sad stories like that. So they are the only one to be blamed. We gave all the opportunities for peace, for development, for everything. If you shout loud enough, long enough, the truth, it doesn't matter. People will believe you.
One last question on this topic. Explain the checkpoints, explain the blockade, and why it's necessary, and why Israel would prefer actually not to have it.
Yes, of course, we would like to have open borders, but checkpoints started right when we start to get all kind of terror attacks, blowing buses, coming, shooting, doing stuff like that. And then we'll have to do permits for working in Israel. You'll have to be over a certain age. You'll have to be with a family. And like we said, there's no other country in the world that under this threat on a constant daily basis. So sure, we will have to check people when they're going in. And again, you cannot even blame the people. They are brainwashed. And we said that education is one of the key things. But unfortunately, kids in Gaza schools, from first graders, 6 years old kids, are marching in the morning and shouting, we will kill Israel. So therefore, the blockage and the checkpoints are well needed. We always can tear down walls and checkpoints, but you can never bring back people to life.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, let's bring it up to today. Can you tell a personal story, perhaps from the last few days, that has stuck with you, or share a moment from the conflict that has deeply affected you?
That people are begging for help. We have to say,
I'm
There
sorry,
was,
Ophir, I
yeah,
lost you for a minute. So
all right.
let's rewind, and if you could tell a personal story from the last few days that has stuck with you.
Yeah, yeah, all right. Can you hear me well now? Let me
Yeah,
just put
yeah,
it right.
I'm good.
Just a sec, and I get it. All right. So now, um,
Good.
basically, what I'm saying is that because I grew up next to that Gaza Strip and in the kibbutz, so I know and I see in the WhatsApp groups all kind of horrific stories of women being taken with their kids, with the families, and it's people that I know. And every time from here and there, you hear about someone missing, which probably he is probably dead in many ways. And we'll go soon to what happened on Saturday morning, but it's all very, very personal. Like I said, my brother had to fight and to scare a terrorist away from my kibbutz. Other brothers living in Sderot. Sderot is the town right next to Gaza. And for 2 days and a half, they were locked in the safe room. We'll have to say that in Israel, every house by law need to build a shelter in the house. It's a room that is protected in more concrete and iron stuff like that. So this is by law something that no other country do, because we say instead of you shooting us and we shoot 10 times more, when people are shooting at us, we are trying to protect our houses and schools and like that. So there's many stories, people coming out also from that party that we're going to talk about, and me serving here. And another little story, because I'm commanding that city, so I get the calls and everything connected to the army is going through me. And one woman is calling me and she says, listen, my daughter is serving in the base that is the northern part of Gaza Strip, guarding the exit. It's called Erez Cross Point. I don't know what's going on with her. We haven't heard anything from her. My knowledge and intelligence, and that we know that this base being conquered by the Palestinians. What do you say to a mother in a situation that you know that her daughter probably is dead by now? Hopefully, not taken into Gaza, or even sometimes it can be worse, taken alive. A miracle happened, and somehow they found out that something like 20 soldiers managed to hide and to protect themselves in a small kind of shelter that they had inside the base. And eventually we got really miracle good news that the
Amazing.
daughter is okay and safe.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank God.
So there's
Amazing.
a lot of small like points of light in these stories that we hear. It's very important in this time of darkness. We're going to talk about the help that coming from civilians and many other things.
Amazing. What gives you the strength to keep going in such challenging times?
The knowledge that there's no other choice and there's no other option. We'll have to be here. And some people study history. Some people are part of it. And I think that being part of that, it's tough, it's hard, but it's a great honor. And the people of Israel, same as the Jewish nation all around the world, doing everything to show the rest of the world where there's light and where there's darkness. And we always keep the moral and the standards and trying to find ways of peace. And the rest of the nations will follow. Things also after that will change. The Israeli army, considered to be the best army in the world, but also the most moral army. Just to tell the audience, in usual fights, whenever we get missiles and that, the Israeli army is sending text messages before they're going to blow a building. Then they are putting flyers, throwing them up to the people to get away so civilians won't get hurt. Then they will drop a small bomb on the roof of that building. Then they will destroy it. And we are not shooting schools and hospitals and that and UN posts. So of course the Palestinians, the Hamas is taking advantage of that, shooting from schools, hurting from that. For what's going on today, the rules are completely different. But the moral code of the IDF is very, very clear to every soldier.
That's a very important point, because I think a lot of people that I've been speaking to and hearing from, it's very important uh, to quash the idea that there's any equivalency. You know, you're hearing, oh, Bibi does bad things, Hamas does it. There's no comparison, whatever your politics. And I think
And
it's
we
very
can see
important to make that clear.
many,
Yeah.
thank you. We can see many times that Air Force or someone was about to shoot, when they see that the civilians around, they hold the shoot, even though that they could kill a mega terrorist that hurted tens or hundreds of people in Israel. So we will do our best, and still doing our best, that innocent people won't get hurt in that thing.
Now, I know this conflict is very unique in a lot of ways, and you reached out early on to say, after 12 hours, like, nothing will ever be the same, number one, and number two, it's very different from any other war. For example, the war many years ago, the Yom Kippur War. Can you describe some of the elements of this war on the ground that are very, very different and very unique?
Yeah. So first of all, we'll have to say there is a collapse of system that happened. We don't know, from the Shin Bet, the Israeli Secret Service, the Mossad, and the IDF. The opening hours were terrifying, and we got caught really in a great surprise. And even though that we got caught, somehow helicopters and combat tanks and stuff like that didn't get to the scene as fast as they should. It took them hours. The first blow was a cutting, shooting some rockets, but this was only destruction for cutting 15 points and getting from the fence of Gaza, from the border, and just going into kibbutzim, into villages. This is a Jewish holiday called Sukkot. Sukkot means a hut, commemorating the coming out from Egypt, and many people are sleeping in those huts outside of their houses. But many others, when they start to hear the booming, they're going inside, and then terrorists go into a kibbutz. It's a small village, small community, and start to go house after house, killing, murdering women, children, kidnapping some of them, taking the people all around straight back to Gaza as prisoners. So this is not like in Yom Kippur that army had to fight an army, and it was sad. But I know that when I'm putting the uniform of the IDF, when I'm having this honor to serve my country, as a soldier, I'm just as a wheel of a jeep. I'm just like a tank. If I have to get hurt, I will get hurt, because I'm doing it to protect my country. But when we're dealing with civilians, now the other thing, that the terrible thing that happened in that day, that there was a party. People are going to party. It's like a rave in the desert. 3,000 young people, women and children and kids and that, dancing and having fun and having the time. This is Israel. You know, Israel, it's a fun country most of the time. And people were just dancing, and the people came, the Hamas came and just start to shoot and to chase them. And we have at least 300 people killed there. And they kept on chasing them all around. Now, from time to time, we see some survivors that managed to run to the forest or to the orchard trees. And we got like these little miracle stories. But many families been torn down. The husband has been shot. The wives are being taken. I'm also urging people. The videos are really, really terrifying. The videos will scratch your soul for life. Whatever you see in the media, beware. Because people, you see people, families, and you see women being raped and everything. Horrible, horrible things. So also, anyone that is watching us, you want to protect your soul. I've been serving in war zones, and there's sins that they are in my head. And still, I think that each one of us got a bit of a mess that he's got in his hand. Let me find here. This, sorry. Let me find, אני בזום כרגע, זה שלך? So I'm sitting in the office in the home front command that we have in the bunker where we run in the city from, so people coming in and out. Sorry for that.
No problem. No problem.
The woman that is in charge of all the welfare in the city just left her phone and she's working very, very hard. We'll deal with that. So I'm saying that keep your soul clean because we all traumatics from these wars. And today the media is all around. You don't need to be in the scene itself. So please keep it. Also, don't get into the news all the time and that because this is long-term challenge for the soul. So also we want to be protected there.
That's a great point. It also speaks to your earlier point about how it's not really nation against nation in a lot of ways. It's you're fighting extremism. And that's a very, very important differentiation. And also, I noticed that we don't see Arab countries dancing in the streets like they might have, let's say, in 1973. There's normalization with Arab countries and moderates. So it's a very different thing, even from that point of view. It's really it's more a fight against extremism than it is a fight of nation against nation.
And I think that's where the world is going to. It's not going to be wars anymore between different nations or different religions. It's going to be war between extremists and the normal people who want to live peacefully. And yes, terror got the easiest way to win. They just need to terrorize you. It's enough that I changed my daily routine, they won. And that's why when they shoot they're winning. But here they done something that is 10 times more. And now we're fighting a terror organization that's controlling 2 million people in Gaza. And I want to get us into the scenarios, into where things are going and what we are getting prepared for, because we are dealing now with 4 different threats. One is the missiles coming out from Gaza. We're used to that for many rounds that we had. Second is terrorists still in Israel attacking and every time trying to get another hostage in different cities. Third is the northern division that is starting to deal Hezbollah from Lebanon, and they start in this moment, they start to shoot. They're kind of checking out on us and how we're going to respond. And the fourth is the Israeli Arabs. What happened here 2 years ago, that Israeli Arabs, motivated by Hamas and other organizations, started to shoot and kill inside the cities where Jewish and Muslims live together. You've been to Israel, many others been. We see that people live together. Haifa, Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, Jaffa, Ramle, Beersheba, so many cities that they are mixed and people live perfectly together. What happened 2 years ago, that people started to burn houses and to kill and to murder just simple civilians that were brainwashed by the Islamic Jihad and other organizations that encouraged them. So those are the 4 threats that we are facing, and we know, or we can estimate where it's going, and it's going to be very, very rough. So I will get to that in a minute.
Tell me about the rights that Arab Israelis have in Israel, and tell me about how you react to some of the accusations around the world that Israel is an apartheid state and doesn't give rights to all of its people if they're not Jewish, etc. Give me your point of view, and please clarify that whole notion.
Yes. So Israeli Arabs got just the definition. Israeli Arabs are Arabs that inside the state of Israel without what we call the West Bank or Judea and Samaria or the territories. These guys got a representative in the parliament. They got huge houses. Actually, they are not enforced in many ways. I live in a small house. Our houses could be in the villages sometimes 10 times bigger. And they live, they work, they flourish, they taking advantage and use, and they are welcome. They are civilians of Israel, of all of these amazing offers that this country have in the high tech, in the agriculture, in medicine, and everything. There are sometimes there's challenges, but they are equal citizens. So they get everything. But yes, because they're brothers in the Palestinians, they are calling themselves sometimes Palestinians. And again, some of them become more radicals, brainwashed by the imams at the mosques every Friday, and they have freedom of praying and everything that they got. So there's no wars and no defenses and none of that. The opposite. There's laws that they obligate every governmental office or city hall and that to put a Arab in positions and that. So sometimes I won't be accepted because it's already these places reserved for Arab citizens. So they are fair and equal to all of us.
How does the IDF deal with the hostage situation involving women, children, and the elderly? Will the hostage situation, for example, change the way Israel will retaliate? I know, talking about unique circumstances, this is a uniquely disturbing and very, very difficult
Yes.
situation.
Yeah. I'm going back a few years ago when Gilad Shalit is an Israeli soldier that been
I
kidnapped
remember, yeah.
and made a mistake, and we released 1,000 terrorists. It's not prisoners to kill people. We 1,000 terrorists for one soldier. I believe that it's a great mistake that we should never do again. Now they say, listen, kidnapping is working, so let's get hundreds. We believe that there's around 180 people kidnapped into Gaza. Men, mostly women and children, all women. And it will be hard. I will say that if we will be able to release 30% of them, it will be a miracle. The other option that we can take as many commanders and fighters from this terror organization of Hamas and Islamic Jihad, and maybe like you do between countries, by the end of every war, you bring back the people that have been captured. Hamas is completely different organization. They are very, very vicious. We are not sure that we'll be able to get to that. Therefore, Israel is planning to go full power. We hope and we believe that as Hamas understand that these prisoners and kidnapped people are with a great value, they will put them into the underground city of the tunnels that they managed to dig under the streets of Gaza. So maybe a lot of them will be safer there from all the bombing that's coming. But yeah, if we are taking now to look forward what's going to happen, and from time to time I'm getting here indications they're still shooting rockets. So the escalation is going to be like that. Israel will have to go inside. We are attacking now with the Air Force waves after waves after waves, and we are dealing, of course, with military targets of Hamas and Islamic Jihad as much as we can. Like we said, because they put in a lot of their headquarters inside hospitals and that, so civilians might get hurt as well. Then the army will have to go in. There is one clear target. You know, we are in business and especially in military. You want to put what is the goal of that war? And the goal now is to destroy the Hamas and Islamic Jihad army ability or military ability. What will happen later on, we'll have to talk about it. But for years and years, every time they're shooting, we retaliate, and then a few months later or a year later, they shoot again. Just imagine that all of these kibbutzim that have been attacked, they got 15 seconds to run to safety. Where I live, it's a minute and a half next to Tel Aviv. And it goes like that. We got rockets and with the sirens been amazing structure that we have that will tell you exactly where the rocket is about to fall. So we're not going to put alarm to all of the cities in Israel. Even inside the cities, it goes by different quarters. So after years that no kid could be away for more than 15 seconds from a safe house, Israel is going out to stop that, to destroy Hamas' ability to throw rockets anymore. So the scenario goes like this. Israel will go into Gaza to destroy that. The Hezbollah from Lebanon, although these are Shiites and the Hamas are Sunnis, Hezbollah, supported, pushed by Iran, is saying if Israel will go into Gaza, those are the declarations that come in the last hours, if Israel go to Gaza, we will start to attack from the north. There's American aircraft carrier that's going to be right next to the shores of Israel in something like 2 to 3 hours. United States of America is saying, listen, you guys, if you are coming into this war, we are joining as well. US getting into the story, there's a great chance that Iran and Russia will retaliate. I remind you that Putin and the president of Iran just had a meeting like not long ago. So therefore, our scenarios are very, very long and vicious, and this is without counting what I take as the biggest threat is the Israeli Arabs attacking or starting to shoot their neighbors or Palestinians running from all around. Then it would be really, really horrific. So what we see until now, unfortunately, it is just the promo to what is coming on us.
Very scary. It seems to me that Hezbollah, and Islamic Jihad, and Hamas, they're all enemies of peace, and they're all on the same front. And of course, we have Iran in the background, which is causing a lot of very major problems in terms of their support behind the scenes, and it has implications all around the world, including, of course, Ukraine, where I've been very busy advocating for their freedom, and President Zelensky has been strong as well in terms of his statements of support for Israel in common cause, really. But so you see this as being a very long, drawn out battle and conflict.
Yeah, it's going to be hard. I want to be in a positive way. Like we said, I'm a man of peace. So, as many people in Israel, we believe that after that, we will have light. We will have many years of quiet. Some big change. Nothing will be the same like what we had before. And hopefully, also from the Muslim world, people will believe that radicals are, and will see that radicals only destroy them. And what we need is also the rest of the world to see and to understand. In Islam, if you are not Muslim, you are infidel, you are ignorant. And one of the rules of Islam is to convert everybody to be Muslim. You see it's going on in Europe, you see it also in the States and many other places. The extremists are taking an oath to do everything that they can by power or by education or by marriage or just numbers. Every European family will have 1 or 2 kids, and the Arab families will have 10 kids. So demographically, they're also going to do that. So that's why the rest of the world needs to wake up and to stand with the right side, the light of the people that is looking for peace and to talk and to connect. When people come in and they want to interact and to be part of society, it's great. But when people want to overcome and tell you what to do and how to live, this is a different thing. So, I mean, stop funding terror organization. I'll tell you exactly where this money goes. If you shoot in someone, if you shoot in or stab in a soldier and is wounded and you are in jail, there's a certain amount that the Palestinian will give your family every time. When you have 10 kids, you send 1 or 2 of them, go and do some terror acts. This is how we're going to get social care for the rest of our life. This money comes from all European and Arab countries and Americans that send in money. You should know your money going straight to terror. If you manage to kill someone, you will get more. And this is how it goes. So when the rest of the world will wake up and understand that it's very, very one-sided, clear, good and bad around here. There's the state of Israel who's building, flourishing, doing everything that they can, making miracles around the world, making inventions that saving lives of millions in agriculture and medicine, in all kinds. And then from the other side, there's people who's coming to destroy, choose to be on the side of light.
And the only democracy,
yeah,
as well in the Middle East.
We have to put, excuse me, just one sentence
yeah.
about that. We'll have to remind that there's a UN rule, the United Nations says no nation can call itself a refugees more than one generation. There's only one exception, is the Palestinians. So when the people start to pet them and we'll tell them, listen guys, take responsibility, like the Emirates are doing, like many Arab countries are understanding, stop crying all the time, start to build a nation. Jewish and Arabs, we were refugees in the same time, coming out from the Holocaust, and later on when Arab countries throwing all the Jewish from there, we were all refugees. Look what they did and look where they are stuck. Again, it's leadership, it's education, it's taking time, but this is time to change and to start to build your life instead of crying all the time.
Do you think the two-state solution is the ultimate answer for peace?
Ultimately, it's always hard to have. Yes, but yeah, we want to give Palestinians their own thing. I'm talking now on a reserve, and I'm holding like I'm in a uniform, but I believe that eventually we'll have to find a solution, because we don't want a Palestinian majority voting us democratically outside of our country. So this is just every common sense that you want to have, but not getting into politics because I'm wearing uniform now. The thing is that when we try to give them a state, and I remind you, back in 1995, Yasser Arafat and Yitzhak Rabin signed the Oslo Agreement, reaffirmed later on by Benjamin Netanyahu, Bibi. We said, take cities and show us you can run cities, we'll give you the whole country. 90% of Palestinians doesn't see Israel. In Ramallah, in Nablus, in Hebron, in many cities like that, Jericho, we got it area A, B, and C. A is a complete Palestinian care, municipal and security. So they got their freedom. But what they got as well is the lack of responsibility, because they are authority, they are still not nation. So they can play on both sides. But we gave them, more than 20 years ago, we gave them their freedom, we gave them the cities and everything. So just, they should take it from there and build. And when you stop shooting us, Golda Meir, we're talking about Golda Meir, she was the Prime Minister of Israel back in 1973 in Yom Kippur War. And she says, if the Jewish will put down the weapons, there won't be any Jewish state. If the Arabs will put down the weapons, there will be peace. So that is the moment that we are waiting for 75 years and more.
You empower people through wisdom from Bible and nature, which we talked about earlier. How does this wisdom guide you in these very challenging times?
Thank you for that. Yes, because when you are connected to this long tradition, the Bible, that the whole world is based on, Jewish, then the Christians are taking the Holy Bible and adding the New Testament, and then Muslims taking the Bible, the New Testament, and adding the Quran. We see it all in there. There's even rules in the Bible about how do you prepare, how do you go to war, telling people if you're weak in your soul and that, go back home. But connected 4,000 years later, after Abraham was roaming this land, I know that the strength is coming from my right to live here in peaceful ways. And I know that I'm part of history, and it's my role now. So, and also nature. Nature shows us always that you will have to be in the right balance between all the elements of earth, wind, fire, and water. And when you persist and when you go on and when you hold and you try to do good, you will prevail. The strongest tree in the world is the acacia tree. Acacia tree that we see next to a lot. Usually trees have roots that they are double the size of what you see outside. The acacia trees got up to 30 times roots deep into the ground. This is how deep the Jewish nation and faith roots into that. From there, we build in a strong trunk that we can give, like the acacia, fruits and shade and leaves and everything. So this is how Bible and nature connected and giving us the strength. I always like to use the elements from nature because nature is very, very accurate.
Thank you, my friend. I know you're a man of peace. You don't want to you don't want to be in this position. I remember being on the Golan Heights and you seeing a UN peacekeeper who was going into Syria,
Yeah.
and you saying to him, "Please tell my brothers and my cousins over in Syria that anytime they want, we should sit down and we should have hummus and
Yeah.
we should enjoy ourselves and and just have peace." So I want to wish you the very best of everything. I want to and behatzlacha, and I appreciate everything you do. I want to mention one more thing as we close.
Yeah.
There's at least two Canadian citizens being held hostage by Hamas right now. I'm going to mention their names: Adi Vital Kaplan and Vivian Silver, a woman, in fact, who was known for her peace activism and her humanitarianism. So we need all authorities, including Canadian authorities, to come out and advocate and push for justice and freedom and the sanctity of life, to work urgently to secure the release of hostages and work multilaterally to increase pressure on Hamas and those states that support their crimes, including Iran. But in the meantime,
I want to end in a positive way. Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
Yeah, in the meantime, I just wanted to thank you for your bravery and for all of the amazing work that you do and the messages that you bring to the world, which are so beautiful. And I'll let you close with some thoughts that I know you have.
Yeah. I want us to remember all, to end that in a positive. I'm wearing a uniform, but we all soldiers of love. We're all soldiers of light and happiness. And this is what God created us. Each one of us is a divine creation. You should remember, Jay, you're doing amazing work helping so many, but each one of us, even in this horrific time, there's something that we can do. And if you are in a position of helping to others or helping yourself, so you're already feeling much better because there's the capability. So I want us all to remember that you can do by sharing a smile, helping, talking, asking your neighbor, how do you feel? Doing whatever you can to help. And my heart is also with the civilians in Gaza and the Arab people around the world that are suffering just because of the stupidity of horrific leadership. There is a way for each one of us to spread this light and love and strength that I'm sitting with uniform and talking about that. But this is exactly what it is. We're all divine creation, and we've been put into this earth, into this world to live with happiness. And whatever you can do, share something good to the rest of the world. Share a smile or whatever help that you can give. And that's the power of angels. You
Amen.
are angels.
Amen. Thank you, Achi. You're the best. You're the best. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Keep me posted on everything.
Feel free, get everybody whatever they want to ask, whatever they want to pass through me. I would love to assist. Toda rava. God bless everybody.
God bless. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.